Before we move into the rest of our meeting, let's ground ourselves by taking 2 deep breaths and reflecting on how we're connected to the ground beneath our feet. From this grounded place, I want to speak of those who have long inhabited these lands. With humility and respect, I acknowledge I am speaking to you from sacred and continuously inhabited Ho-Chunk land, the Four Lakes region, known to the Ho-Chunk people as Tejope since time immemorial. On their website, the Ho-Chunk describe themselves as the proud nation of 7,849 tribal members, who are legendary and have been on these lands for over 3 ice ages. In their own words, quote, "Our cultural ways, songs, and stories guide us with values of how to respect the land, the animals, and how to live in balance with nature." I'm going to pass it over to Christina now, and she'll do an overview of tonight's meeting.
All right, thanks, Marian. So hi, everyone. I'm Christina. You just heard from Marian Friedel, and then Susan Nossel and Kelly Kearns are the other members of the monthly meeting team who are running tonight's meeting. So I wanted to welcome everyone, especially if you're new. We're very excited you're here, and we invite you to join a kind of newcomer welcome breakout room after the meeting to chat with Nikki, who can connect you with other groups in 350 Wisconsin. And I also want to just say that we want our meetings to be welcoming and supportive for people, all people, regardless of background or identity, and we'll be sharing our code of conduct in the chat. And this is how we want to show up for each other in this meeting to keep it inclusive and welcoming. So very quick rundown of our agenda tonight. We're in our opening and welcome. We'll then have a presentation and all sorts of goodies from the art collective. And then we'll have announcements as usual from a bunch of groups. There's a lot going on. And then there'll be breakout rooms at the end of the meeting for newcomers and people that want to chat further. So without further ado, I am going to turn it over to the art collective.
All right, so I'm Dianne Brakarsh. I'm starting. We drew straws. I got to go first.
Actually, Rebecca starts.
That's actually not true, but
anyway. Okay, sorry.
Sorry. So thank you, everybody, for coming, and thanks for inviting us. We're happy to be here. So we are going to begin with this, and I'm going to invite Rebecca to unmute.
Thank you, Dianne. So I'm going to read a poem that I wrote that Dianne and Russ asked if I would read. And I wrote this poem after I read the book My Grandmother's Hands by Resmaa Menakem. It's called Incantation to Right the Wrongs of My Ancestors. I write a prayer to remember myself whole. I write a prayer to tease out trauma knots and blood and bone, water the arid flats of suffering. I untwine and untangle, travel back along the bloodline. I unburn witches, heap guts back into bellies, replace the contents of wombs. I unbreak the fingers, kiss the noses straight, stitch tongues to roots, sieve blood from earth, sing it safe beneath skin. What did 1,000 years of torture grow? I breathe in the pain my ancestors knitted into stifling shawls. I breathe in the pain they sailed on from England, swollen as thundercloud, ready to rain and ravage the people whose land they devoured, the people they dragged in chains, this land that grew me. Whose house did you burn under a full moon? Whose teeth did you plant like seeds? Whose blood ran like a river through your dreams? My ancestors, empty-eyed, empty-bellied, see them now, lining up behind me, pallid and pinched, knotted knuckles and swallowed whales. I breathe in the pain they caused, lodged in aorta, esophagus. I breathe in the pain I cause in all its disguises: entitlement, numbness, shame, forgetting. I see you, I see you, I see you. Your bones, my bones, your blood, my blood. May the flesh you ripped be healed. May the souls you tore be mended. May the land you stole be returned. May I learn from your harm and never repeat it. May every body remember ourselves whole. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. I know I would just like to take a moment and take a deep breath. That's such a powerful poem, and what a perfect thing to follow the land acknowledgement. Wow. Okay. So moving on. The Art Collective, I've got some slides that we're going to show kind of as I'm telling a story. The Art Collective actually started years ago, before its current form. I know Susan Beadala, who lives in Milwaukee now, and Phyllis Hasbrook, and there may have been others. Paul Fieber were involved in different projects. Here we actually have used this several times since, but that's the river. Paul made that out of kite. Those are some of the original critter hats. So that I know was made early on. And we also have another example that Paul Fieber made. Yes, there it is. I believe his name is Ollie, the tar sands, either octopus or tar sands monster, I've heard him referred to. So these are just only two examples of the art that was made long before Russ or I found our way here to 350 Wisconsin. By the way, it's flying at a skit that was probably the worst thing we've ever done. So we'll move on. We don't need to talk about it. So we came together in 2020 for Get Out the Vote action. We were all feeling we'd all been working independently, and Phyllis has a lot of credit for drawing us together. But we decided we really wanted to do something to get out the vote. And so this was our first project without lots of people supported and participated in this. And this was really our start. And this was the ending. If you haven't seen the video, that's the first one. And then the next message, it's, to love and then to vote, or you can say vote and then love, right? It goes either way. So this was really kind of how we got our start. And again, I say we consider ourselves a collective because we all have worked, organized, and created independently for years. We've all done different things. We all have different, different approaches, different skill sets, different areas of expertise, et cetera. So we really are a group of people. And we, different ones of us take the lead and we support each other. And it's a great way to operate. So our original goals, they're still our goals, of course, to support other teams of 350 Wisconsin. So you may be more familiar with some things we've done for Divest and Defund, Tar Sands team, and others, or initiatives. Those are just a couple of examples, but that's one of our major goals, including, I put our newest one this year. We're doing our first theater performance piece for the 350 Wisconsin Action. Secondly, we exist to support kindred organizations. Russ may say more about this, I don't know, but especially a few members of the Art Collective, Richard, Russ, Phyllis in particular, have been quite involved in creating things and going to working up north for the Line 5 Coalition. They've hosted art build workshops for the folks at Line 5. We've done things for the what are they called now? The climate health. It used to be the healthcare professionals for something for the environment. Anyway, they've changed their name. Healthy Climate Wisconsin. Thank you, Stephanie. And as well as others, Building Unity, Black Lives Matter. There are different, or Poor People's Campaign. I'm sure there are others. Thirdly, to support each other, both as artists and as humans. And so it's become clearer to us over time how important that the value of our work is really as much about supporting ourselves, helping us be resilient, and hopefully the rest of the organization in ways. I mean, that's really, it's vital to continue our work. So why do we do this? So I want to talk a little bit about, well, there's art and there's artistic activism. And so we are very interested in both, but we use these different approaches because novelty, either in what you see or where you see it, is what attracts attention. Our brains are wired for that, right? So we categorize things in every day, so we're not overwhelmed by stimuli. So when we see something that's in a completely different place, it really attracts our attention. That's the first thing. For example, this does not do this piece justice. It's really a fabulous piece, I think. But here people are at a parade and they expect people marching and signs and things like that. And then this incredibly beautiful chariot of the great turning is rolled. And it shows that Ness just nurturing the earth. And she's held up and we're just all, it's just so moving to see it there. I'm sorry, I don't have words. You can tell when I get moved by something, I can't even go into the verbal thing. So this is an example. This attracted a lot of attention. It always does when we bring it to a parade or march or anything like that. So we can stick on this one for this slide for a minute. Here's another shot from a crowd. So if we generally experience a bit of confusion, okay, I'm at the farmer's market, or it could be anywhere else. I'm going shopping, whatever you're doing. And then there's something that is really out of the ordinary. What is that? There are moments of confusion. Sometimes they're disruptive, hopefully in a positive way, but not always. Could be surprising, could be funny, it could be horrifying, it could be any number of things, but all of those things evoke an emotional response. And that is what we're after. It's this whole thing about affect then leads to effect, meaning that the emotional response then hopefully to action that we want. So humans make sense of our world through stories and symbols. Rebecca Solnit is, as well as others, has written so eloquently about this. And they're really as effective, if not more so, than facts and figures or graphs, at least at the beginning. If you can evoke an emotional response, then maybe someone's more receptive to that sort of information. But if we can tell a story, we can animate and illustrate our message, we believe it can have more of an effect. So that's kind of a short, condensed thing of the neuroscience behind this, using the surprise. So we're going to go through a few slides for next action. So on this day, I forget which day it was, but people going to the farmer's market, I'm sure, did not expect to be invited to this convention, Billionaire Bankers for Big Oil. Notice we even had a kind of a gilded frame around the sign. And so we were inviting them as soon as they came. And that was, you know, definitely a surprise. Next slide, please. There are a number, not all of them, but a number of the bankers who were just absolutely hamming it up, yucking it up in front of Chase Bank, making toast, doing all sorts of things like that, that started to attract more attention. And then I don't have a slide of the next one. Then we blocked the street for 2 or 3 minutes. Then we went out and we did a dance in the street about money and how much we love money. And then we went out to the square. We had a skit. So in the next slide, please. There's Paul with one of the proudly funding a hot new climate. So that told a story without us having to say Chase Bank is funding. And we had a lot of other things about, you know, funding fossil fuel, funding this, funding that. But somebody could just watch, look at the costumes, the demeanor, the behavior, the signs, and they could get that story. So that's one example. Okay. So what makes people, we'll stick with this one for a moment. Well, either one. Sorry, Christina. So what makes people, again, move to engage is a felt response, often more than a rational decision. And the power of art is so largely beyond rational explanation. We know it can touch people's hearts and souls, bodies and spirits. So we want to tell a story again, other than just give facts. So here, this is another one. So all of a sudden, people again are at the market because that's a great place to do actions. And there are all these animals, like there's a lizard, there's some kind of cephalopod. I don't know. There's all these different things, plus a few disco people mixed in that are dancing to Staying Alive. And like everybody knows that song, it seems like, even if you hated the Bee Gees, everybody knows that song. So they start dancing and singing along. So we created this really joyful experience. People were smiling, etc. So they were surprised and amused, and then the joyful moment, however, faded away. And we had a part in the music. That is a quote from Antonio Guterres, the Secretary General of the UN. This was given, this quote was included in his address that year at a COP, I think that was COP27, that one I'm not sure. So there we are, we died, and we stayed down for quite a while. And I don't have a slide up, but we have pictures captured of people looking really like almost grimacing. But then we came back up to life, and the next slide shows a really important message that's actually a beautiful banner. Only everyone can save us now. So we wanted, people were like, oh, happy, and they're like, oh my gosh. And then it's like, no, we can do it, but we all have to do this together. And then the final message from that was this. And we've used this a number of times: climate despair, try activism. And then people were so much more receptive to what, you know, we've been asked a number of times, who are you guys? Why are you, I've been asked, why are you wearing that? Why are you dressed like that? And, oh, hey, I'm with 350 Wisconsin and blah, blah, blah. I mean, it just is a completely different way to approach and engage with people about our work. So especially if you get laughter, you get all those great, you know, oxytocin and dopamine and all those good chemicals going. So that ended things on a positive note. And then, of course, the key is we want to create this positive experience, and then people are kind of more receptive to whatever we're asking. Sign a petition, postcards, sign up for 350 Wisconsin, whatever it is, or just to receive information. But it, the timing's got to be pretty sharp. So that is the conclusion of that. That is just a very few examples of things, but how we can try to tell a story. We didn't use any graphs here. We didn't use any things like these many, these species are dying. This is what's going to happen in 4 years with none of that. It's just like, boom, death. So that we kind of wanted to hit it. So our next portion, and this is very exciting because we have, well, the first group, not so much because we already know about it, but we have some new groups that are formed during the process, and we're going to have some folks talk about that. I'm really excited to see how they develop. I don't think I need to say anything about the dance performance group. That's been going for a while. We use theater. We like to use a lot of satire, good dose of humor, etc. So we just keep thinking up new ideas and going. But we have some other wonderful groups. So the first one I want to introduce is the music group. And I believe Amanda, it's being led by Amanda Lauricella, our wonderful professional vocalist. And so she is, I would like her to say a few words and tell us about the music group. By the way, Amanda just moved today, right? You moved into a house and here you are at the meeting. Pretty impressive. Okay, take it away.
Thank you. I actually moved Saturday, so but yeah, I have my internet. We are here. So yeah, I just wanted to say a few words about the music. It's the music working group within the umbrella of the Art Collective. So our first project that I helped out with was Protect All the Water, which turned into a really beautiful music video thanks to Alicia and a bunch of other people's help last year. So we made that probably around a year ago. And then we're doing a new project that we just started earlier, late spring. And we actually are having our first performance in a couple weeks at the farmers market in it's I believe Saturday, July 20th. And we're performing another song. We're performing a rendition of Who's Gonna Stand Up by Neil Young. And this one has even more exciting musical texture and instruments and singing and stomping and clapping, and yeah, it's gonna be great. So it's actually not too late to join that if you are interested. We are having a quick little brush up rehearsal that I will email about for those of you who are already in the music working group. We're planning on having a quick brush up rehearsal before that performance. So it's definitely not too late to join if you want to. You can send me an email. I will put my email in the chat in a minute. And I will add you to the list. And you can sing, you can drum, you can play an instrument. You don't have to be a singer. You can kind of participate in multiple ways. So
Thank you, Amanda. It's really fun. So next, the next group, I'm also really excited to see what this group comes out with. It's well, I think I don't know what you're calling yourselves, a writing and illustration group. And Richard and Rebecca are leading that. I'm going to ask Richard to say a few words about that because they have some amazing ideas.
I saw Richard a minute ago.
He's here. I see
Oh, there
him.
he is.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm gonna just to get us started. I'm actually gonna read another poem. How surely gravity's law, strong as an ocean current, takes hold of the smallest thing and pulls it toward the heart of the world. Each thing, each stone, blossom, child is held in place. Only we and our arrogance push out beyond what we each belong, that we each belong to some empty freedom. If we surrendered to Earth's intelligence, we could rise up rooted like trees. And instead, we entangle ourselves in knots of our own making and struggle, lonely and confused. So, like children, we begin again to learn from the things because they are in God's heart, mystery's realm. They have never left this realm. This is what the things can teach us to fall patiently, to trust our heaviness. Even a bird has to do that before he can fly. That's by Rainier Maria Rilke. So an old poem from quite a while back. Um, I just wanted to share another poem because uh, it demonstrates for us that language can do multiple things. It can, as Dianne was talking about, it can reach us at an effective um, emotional level, and so we're I'm really interested in this personally, and how it can help us bridge divides between people and build community in that way. Um, Also, there's so I'd say this working group is actually gestating. It's incubating. We've been talking about this for a while and kind of just throwing around ideas, and hopefully we'll be getting organized here in the next month with a first formal meeting. And Rebecca, who read the poem at the beginning of the meeting, is going to help co-lead this. But to say more specifically about what we're thinking and some projects we're thinking about going towards. Um, Personally, I have a bunch of printing equipment, most of it letterpress, do a little silk screen, learning that. Um, and so there's an opportunity, right? There's a resource I'd like to see used. Also, Rebecca has the talents of uh, being creative nonfiction writing coach and workshop leader. So she's, I think, generating some ideas how we can tie those together. Um, I've also done some bookbinding, so we're generating ideas around how we can take these things, have them cross pollinate and cross feed into each other. Um, uh, what else did I want to say? So specifically, what might come out of it is if anybody's familiar with the form of poetry broadside, we're talking about making poetry broadside. So we might have people in the collective write something or collect a series of poems or short pieces that could be fine printed, maybe with a block print illustration. So bringing in somebody else that has talent with drawing to do that. So it's a really collective and doing a series of those. What are we going to do with those? Well, we might just post them up. We paste them across the city. We might give them away as very fine kind of artifacts of that people can have in their homes and remind them of the journey that we're all on together. Um, basically it's to inspire people, and help them think in a different way. We have some other ideas about hand binding books and passing them around as journals that people will collectively build narratives and stories into, that then will be something that connects people in a kind of a organic way of sharing. But I do think that there's a lot within this, different projects that we can develop as a group. So if any, we have a small group of people who's expressed interest, and obviously, like I said, there's opportunity for people who might be interested to help out with writing, creative writing, doing hand printmaking, doing illustration. Another idea is maybe to do some chapbooks, if people are familiar with that form. I'll also say that broadsides originally were sort of political one-page tracts that would be put up in public spaces a long time ago. So it kind of, that form is interesting, that it has a history of organizing people. Other things may gestate as well. So I'd invite people who are interested in these topics and modes to get in touch, and we'll let you know when we're meeting next. I think that's all I got.
Thank you, Richard. Yeah, I'm very excited to see what comes from that. And then the third new forming working group right now is what is called the Heart Collective. And we don't have one of the leaders there here who was able to. However, Russ is going to speak to that and say a few words about that. So Russ,
you
take
have
it.
like 5 to 8 minutes to share about the Heart Collective and whatever else you want to share. Just time check.
Sure, we can. I can do my part really fast. The Heart Collective is, in a way, it's odd that it's mixed in with the arts, but in a way, it's all this stuff that we need, that we feel. It's on a different level than intellectually kind of sorting things out, and we just felt a need for it within our collective, and we're going to be working things up for the entire 350 and maybe beyond at some point. We have people who are have some history and some skill in this kind of work. So there's other groups that are sort of incipient, nascent sort of groups, including mutual aid kind of ideas, including preparing for disaster individually and within your community. We'll talk about those another time. Oh, okay. So I'm up. We're gonna rail through these. I put this one in just because I was sent it today. We've been doing stuff on land as 350, and with Paul Fieber's kites, we've been doing air. And this was by sea at the Fool's Flotilla a few weeks ago. Richard in particular led the effort. So Stephanie and her kids joined us. We've got the critter hats in the very background. You can see the earth ball getting blown up. It was very windy. The earth ball was intensely weird with hundreds of kayaks. And then Richard has a gorgeous giant dragonfly, which helped tip him into the water, but it was really fun. So let's go on to the next one. Going real quickly here, the main thing I want to say is you don't have to be an artist to be in the art collective. I'd say that might be the majority of us. We just feel a need to do something at this moment in time. You can also know that we have a studio space. 350 Wisconsin rents a heated, really large room that is an excellent spot for us to do our work. Our paint doesn't freeze. And then Richard's whole studio, this is a picture of us doing stuff at a different layer of his studio space. Next one. This is a kind of an interesting example here. We try not to waste anything. And so here we've got t-shirts that we got I think a lot of these we got at Dig and Save. And just Friday we were at Dig and Save and we got 65 shirts that we're going to be taking up to Bad River to help teach kids how to do silk screening kind of work and to do some more Line 5 work. But this is the actual space that is now really cram-packed full of 350 Wisconsin stuff. That used to have to move every few months, it seems. This is an example of the different types and degrees of involvement. I'd say a lot of the people here in this particular session here wouldn't consider themselves really in the art collective. They're sort of art collective adjacent. They show up when there's something that needs to be made. And these were making our Minions of Satan costumes. I'm not sure let's see what the next one is. We can wait on that one, I guess. So the main thing I want to say is that we know that art is not the answer, but we just feel like this is an all hands on deck moment in the story of life on this planet. As a matter of fact, I think depending on who you are and what resonates for you, you might feel like the art collective is just too full of itself, too precious, too cute by half. And so we know that it doesn't work for everybody, but we like the idea that we're trying to do our part. One of the things that we've recognized over time is that we sort of still feel a need to sound the alarm on this moment in time in the human story and the story of all of life, both the urgency and the gravity of the situation we're in. We know that a lot of the change in this world is going to have to come on a governmental layer. But political leaders don't want to get ahead of their public because they won't get reelected if they get ahead of their public. So we need more of the public, more voters to lean on their legislators and to make things happen on that level. So that's why we continue to do things that are very basically sounding the alarm on all of this. We also know that politics is a reflection of the underlying culture. And that politics of any changes in politics are reflecting that underlying cultural change. We hope that art can help move the needle a little bit on that underlying culture. We also want you to know that we don't see anything wrong with preaching to the choir if it helps the choir sing a little better and inspire the congregation / public. We hope that this art collective does things for you. We've gotten good feedback from you all on that. And we just want to also just sort of be a living, breathing example of how activism doesn't have to be draining, that it can be something that really helps you go through this work. So I think I'm going to move on to the very last thing, which is why this picture is up. We're going to do a little breakout room in a minute here. We are inviting everyone in 350 Wisconsin to we have a question for you. And here's the question: what sustains you in this work at this critical point in the story of life on Earth? The reason we had the Earth photo is that photo for me, when I first saw that photo decades ago, just struck me so profoundly about the beauty, the oneness, the mystery of it all. But for some people, that has become so mundane, and I've been a contributor of that, giving everybody and their uncle an Earth flag, that it no longer has any resonance. So we want to know what sustains you in this work. So we're going to go into breakout rooms. We're going to start that conversation, but really it's only just started, because in the long run, we'd like to use the Heart Collective. We'd like to use Richard and the Writing Collective to see if we can put something together that we can give back to you that is sharing so many of the different things that sustain us. So we're going to do the breakouts. We're going to go into a little bit of sharing, and I think we're ready.
Mhm, mhm.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. I know that wasn't a lot of time, and that's a very deep question, but we just wanted to get you going. And Russ is, I'm sure, going to make future asks. So Russ, I'll let you say whatever else you want to say about art.
Well, I thought that this picture was an important thing to end with for the slides anyway. Well, this was a caroling thing that we put together at this last holiday season, and we were very thoughtful about how we want these things to land. We were very trying to not be snarky, except maybe the one by Chase Bank we were a little snarky. But this was at Hilldale, and the reason I'm showing this is that about 2/3 of these people are not art collective folks. And it just shows how much we just want you to know in 350 how much we appreciate the fact that you are willing to be a part of this thing that we're trying to do. In a way, the art collective is all of 350 when you have so many people showing up for things like this. So we have a poem to end with, but we could also do comments and questions if we have time. And if we don't, that's that.
I think we have one quick question, and that's because I gave you a short amount of time. Russ, what is the Heart Collective?
Well, it's still just a working group of the art collective, but because it's matters of the heart, and because it rhymed with the art collective, they couldn't resist calling themselves the Heart Collective. So it's really looking at this idea that this question touches on about how do we deal with this moment in the story of life on the planet. It's overwhelming, and you know, we have a lot of heartbreak in the art collective. Honestly, we are pretty devastated a bunch of the time, and so we need each other. We've always needed each other. And we're trying to actually meet now the third Sunday at 2:00. This particular Sunday, not, but this month. But yeah.
Thank you. That's great. I do think in the interest of time, we will have to move on to announcements.
Well, let's just do this 30-second poem that Richard has that I think is a great way to end. Richard?
All right. No, he has to unmute. Richard, can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, so this is a poem by Gary Snyder from actually the early 70s, which when I read it, I was kind of amazed. For the children, the rising hills, the slopes of statistics lie before us, the steep climb of everything going up, up as we all go down. In the next century, or the one beyond that, they say, are valleys, pastures. We can meet there in peace if we make it, to climb these coming crests. One word for you, to you and your children. Stay together, learn the flowers, go light. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. And thank you, Russ and Dianne and everybody who has led and participated in all the activities of the Art Collective. And hopefully this has given you a taste of what you might want to continue to be involved with and participate. So with that, I'm going to turn things over to Kelly to moderate our many exciting announcements.
So before we start talking about the announcements, I do want to remind everybody that we will, after the rest of the meeting is over, we will have a breakout session with members of the Art Collective so people can talk with them further. So feel free to join that breakout session afterwards. So now it's time to hear from our various teams about actions that you can take. So we're going to start off with Brittany Reamer, our fossil fuel coordinator, who has a couple of separate actions for us.
Thanks, Kelly. Yeah, so if you have not heard already, the Army Corps is accepting public comment right now on the Line 5 reroute in northern Wisconsin. This is likely the only time that the Biden administration is going to take comments on this reroute project. So it's really, really important for us to turn out and submit our comments and use our voice. I am going to post the link to the 350 Wisconsin comment submission page in the chat. So this will take you to a pre-written comment. I would highly suggest personalizing this. You can also send in your own comment too. And I will be sending out an email that'll have more information on where to send comments. But this comment form you can personalize. I would highly suggest personalizing the subject line and adding some sentences of your own at the very beginning. You can also wipe everything out of there and like write your own too and send it in. It doesn't get like sent in a mass email. They each get individually sent. So they'll go right to the Army Corps and they will receive those. And the Army Corps has to go through every single one of these comments. We have a goal of 30,000 and I think we're pretty close, between us and our Loose Coalition and our network. I think we're pretty close to that goal already. So we want to try to get as far over that as we possibly can. So the deadline is August 4th. We've got little over 4 weeks. All right, that's what I got for that one. The second one here is the current climate action campaign petition. So we are part of the Wisconsin state table for the climate action campaign. And what we do there is really hold our elected officials accountable for the climate promises that they have made. So the current petition that we have going on will get sent to Senator Baldwin and others. We're really focusing on Senator Baldwin, and we want to ask her, say thank you to her for continuing to defend our climate, but also ask her to continue to vote no on these CRAs that are coming up. As far as, the new EPA regulations go. I know that there's a whole different level with the Chevron deference getting overturned here recently. So we'll just have to keep an eye on that. But I'm going to put the link in the chat and we're just going to take like a second, maybe 30 seconds right now for everybody who has not signed that to click on that link and to add your name to the petition, if you would, please. And while you do that, I'm also going to backtrack to the Army Corps thing. I forgot. I'm going to be holding comment support hours every Wednesday from 2 to 3 o'clock. Through the end of July. So if you need help with your comments to the Army Corps, I am here to help with that. I will put the registration link in the chat for that too. So yeah, maybe just a few more seconds for that petition and then y'all can feel free to move the slideshow on whenever. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Brittany. Next, Kristen Clark wears 2 hats as our 350 Wisconsin Development Manager and as the political organizer of our sister organization, 350 Wisconsin Action, which is our C4. Kristen, can you please cover all of your announcements?
Yes, hi everyone. Thank you for that introduction, Kelly. As it is July 1st, we are starting a month-long drive to increase the amount of monthly donors that we have. Monthly donations are really important as they allow us to plan strategically, ensuring steady, strong action against the climate crisis. Your recurring gift, no matter the amount, will support our continuous efforts to pressure government leaders, organize community actions, and collaborate with other organizations dedicated to climate justice. It also makes it really easy for you as a donor because it just happens automatically every month. And so we just wanted to let everyone know that we have this drive going on. And if you start a monthly donation at any level, we will get you this climate activist kit, which includes a t-shirt. We have some stickers, a postcard, bandana, everything you see in that picture. So I'm going to go ahead and drop the link there, and it's a monthly donation of any size. So, 5, 10, 25, 50, 100, any size, it all really makes a difference, especially over a year. So that is all I have for that slide. Next, also wearing my development manager hat, I want to invite you all to come out to Taste of Madison with us. 350 Wisconsin will be staffing a beer tent at Taste of Madison Saturday, August 31st. We have 2 shifts, one in the afternoon from 1:30 to 5:30 and one in the evening from 5:15 to 9:30. It's really fun. You can either kind of be on like cash register duty or you can be on like beer pouring duty. I was a little intimidated by the beer pouring, so I just did the cash register last summer. But it's a lot of fun. It's a great time to hang out with people. We usually even get some free drink tickets. I can't guarantee that, but that's usually the case. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop the Sign Up Genius link in the chat as well. And so we would really love for you to sign up. It's a great way to volunteer. And then as you can see on the slide, last year in just one day, we raised over $2,000 for the organization, which is a lot of money. So we're hoping to do that as well. And then, as Stephanie said in the chat, we keep all of the tips we make and then a percentage of the sales. So it's a really great fundraiser for us, and we hope that you come out and help make it a success. And then this is actually Emily, so I will set off.
Hi, everybody. So I'm Emily. Nice to see you all. I am super, super excited to introduce two of our new political organizers for 350 Wisconsin Action, our C4. So I'm really excited to announce that we have brought on AJ Dupree and BJ Marshall onto the team. AJ is waving there. I don't know if we can highlight them. BJ was on, but I think was having internet problems, so has dropped off momentarily. But AJ is going to be based in La Crosse, and they come to us with a lot of experience working in various political organizing roles and organizing for progressive issues and with Democratic candidates. So a lot of deep history, especially in the La Crosse area. And then BJ is based in Milwaukee, and he comes to us with over 10 years of experience in political and civic organizing with progressive organizations around the state. So I think you'll be hearing from both AJ and BJ. And yes, I'm aware that the naming is a little bit confusing, AJ, BJ. We did not do that on purpose, I promise. But expect to hear from both of them in the coming months with lots of volunteer opportunities. And if you want to reach out to either of them, their email addresses are right there on the screen. So yeah, welcome to AJ and BJ.
Hey, Emily, I think you may have the next slide.
That's actually Kristen again, sorry.
Okay.
Hi, I'm back. This time I'm not coming to you as development manager, I'm coming to you as political organizer. This month we have a ton of different events and trainings going on, as you can see on the screen. We are really excited to really get things going 100% speed here to get ready for the August election as well as getting ready for November. So I want to highlight the first kind of bullet point is the political action team meetings. The next one is Wednesday, July 10th from 5:30 to 6:30. You do not have to be on the political action team to be a volunteer, to attend trainings, to help us out. But if you want to be more involved in the process of what's going on, we recommend joining that team. And then the rest of these are just training. So we have deep canvas trainings, relational organizing trainings, communications trainings, as well as a really fun relational postcard event in collaborations with the Working Families Party, where you can send people in your contact list who may or may not vote. It's a targeted list of people in your contacts, and they'll get a postcard with a picture of your face on it. So that's really fun because they'll not just throw it out because it's a random piece of mail. They'll recognize that their friend's face is on it and give it a read. Nikki is running a lot of these trainings, so you can get in touch with her. I also put a link in the chat. I'll drop it again. It's to a Google Doc, which has all of the links for all of these trainings. So I know that this is a ton of information on one slide that you're probably not going to fully memorize and see. So we have it all on a separate Google Doc. So go ahead and take a peek at the link in the chat. You can sign up there, see all the different dates and times. I also just want to let everyone know that this is not the only time we will be doing trainings. We will be doing lots of more trainings, but if you know for sure you want to get involved with us over at the C4, it's a great way to get started this July, as we do have an election already in August in about a month, which is kind of crazy. So we need to get going. But that's all for me. I will pass it off.
So to talk a little bit more about that August election, Emily?
Sorry, Kelly, we made this confusing for you by ping-ponging
That's
back
okay.
and forth. A lot of you probably have heard about this, but there are going to be two very critical questions on the August ballot in the fall primary election. So these two amendment proposals are worded very confusingly, and they were passed by the legislature, which, as we all know, was under the old map system, so heavily gerrymandered, not at all representing the actual people of Wisconsin. If approved, these two ballot measures would essentially take away the governor's authority to allocate federal funds to the state of Wisconsin. So that would mean the governor would no longer be able to rapidly deploy emergency funds. So if there were to be a massive flood event or a heat wave and a power outage, the governor would have to wait for legislative approval before deploying those funds, which could mean loss of life. It could mean severe health impacts. It could be devastating for the economy. And of course, as we all know, with the climate crisis, these kinds of natural events are happening more and more frequently. The second thing these amendments would do would imperil the billions of dollars that could be coming to Wisconsin through things like the Inflation Reduction Act and the bipartisan infrastructure law. Essentially, if the federal government were to say, we want to give Wisconsin millions and millions of dollars to implement solar energy program, the legislature could say, no, we don't want solar energy, and they could turn that money away against the governor's will. So essentially, this is really imperiling really critical money that the federal government has already set aside for our use. Federal money, I would say, that is paid for with Wisconsinites' tax dollars. So these two amendments would put this control in the hands of a legislature that is currently heavily gerrymandered. Hopefully, we're going to change that a little bit in November. But regardless, the whole point of emergency funds, they need to be deployed quickly. We don't have time to, in an emergency, to wait for politicians to sort of twiddle their thumbs. And this kind of question of like, does Wisconsin want renewable energy money? That should not be left up to like whims of, people elected under an unfair map system. So essentially, this August, we are encouraging everybody to vote no on both of the ballot amendment questions. So that is a no. So vote no to support the climate and to support our state and emergency initiatives. If anyone has any more questions about this, please feel free to reach out to me. Happy to answer questions, and we'll probably be sending at least a couple of emails out about this with more information. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Emily. For those of you who don't know, Emily is one of our co-executive directors. So on the next announcement, we are Julia Isaacs, who is the monthly meeting team lead, is taking a break this month, but she wants everyone to be aware of this opportunity to take an online course called Resilience in the Anthropocene. So this course invites participants to reflect on their feelings about climate change using diverse mindfulness practices. It encourages building inner and community resilience as a form of climate action. So the link to register will be going into the chat, and Julia's email address as well will be going in there. And if you were particularly interested in the Heart Collective that Russ talked about, you might be interested in taking this class. We already have a half a dozen people from 350 Wisconsin that are taking it and are already meeting. And if you sign up fairly soon with this, then you can join them in having regular discussions about the class. And it is free as well. So think about signing up for that. Okay, next, Mike Friend, who is with a Regenerative Land Relations team, is going to tell us about some farm tours.
Yeah, I've got a couple of tours coming up with some hot off the presses news on one of them. The first tour is going to be this Sunday, July 7th at 10:30 a.m. from 10:30 to noon at the Parisi family farm in Stoughton. And I'm so excited about this, I'm even driving up from Evanston for it, Evanston, Illinois. The Parisi family farm, it's close by, and it's just a wonderful model of sustainable agriculture. They've got solar panels, no-till vegetables, rotationally grazed beef. They're going to let us watch them milk some goats, and we're also getting a talk from the Wisconsin Linen Revival, who is growing flax on some of their land. So all kinds of fun stuff. Just show up. You don't even need to RSVP. Please be there by 10:30 promptly so we can get started. And bring a hat, good shoes, and water, because we'll be walking around a farm. Also, we're trying to set up a time for Terry Parisi to be on the John and Gordy show on Civic Media, which runs from 6 to 8 a.m. Monday through Friday. So see if you can tune in. I'm going to drop a link to that in the chat after I get done here. If we could go to the next slide. So I got hot news on this. Sustain Dane is doing a tour of Odyssey Farm, which was one of the first farms that the Regenerative Land Relations team ever connected with. They raise hogs and beef using regenerative methods. The event is actually booked. There's a wait list right now, but I just heard from Ryan Erisman, the owner of Odyssey Farm, that 350 might be able to help expand the options for attendance. The limiting factor is parking at the farm, but he says there's a park and ride nearby on the intersection of I-94 and County Highway N. And if we could get some people with lots of seats in their cars to sort of shuttle people from the park and ride to the farm, that could actually allow greatly increased participation. So I haven't talked with Sustain Dane about this yet, but I think this is a really great opportunity and a not very heavy lift for us to help get a lot more people at this event. So if you're interested in helping to shuttle people from the park and ride, very short drive, please contact me and I'll try to coordinate that. You know, as many people as we can, probably 4 or 5 will be plenty. And of course, please do sign up for the tour, whether or not you're able to provide a shuttle. So that's going to be from 6 to 7:30 p.m. on Wednesday the 17th over in Sun Prairie on County Highway N. And that is the Odyssey Farm Tour. And I'll drop all these details in the chat. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you, Mike. Next, we're going to have an announcement from the Art Collective as far as some of the activities that they've got going on. So if you got excited about the collective, then here's some opportunities for you.
I will go quickly, and I want to publicly apologize to Russ for going over on my time, which I think I did. Okay, so Tuesday, July 16th, we have a really exciting opportunity, Old Brick After Hours Summer Concert Series, Old Brick Gardens. They invite one environmental organization each week to participate, to table, etc. And they invited 350 Wisconsin for the 16th. And they were interested in pop-up theater, flash mobs, etc. So the Art Collective is actually doing our piece that evening. There are, they say typically between 400 and 600 people there. It's going to be a great show. So it's free. They asked for a $5 donation, but it's free, and it would be really fabulous to see you there. You're going to get links from the newsletter and somewhere else to sign up to help. And then Saturday, July 20th at the Farmers Market, we're doing another rendition of our Gates of Hell skit. If you haven't seen that, we have refined it significantly, shortened it, refined it. It's really fun. We'd love to have you join us, even if you just show up to be a smiling face in the crowd. And after that, the music working group will debut Who's Going to Stand Up and Save the Earth that Amanda spoke of. So that will be a really fun day at the market. And then the next day, that's usually when we have our regular meeting, but we're planning on having a potluck at 5 p.m. because think we're going to be all fried after the crazy week of action. So 5 p.m. at Bram Street. That's Russ's.
Okay, thank you, Diane. And now Nikki Darga, our volunteer coordinator and business manager, will announce our well-deserving volunteer of the month.
Yes, hello. So this month, our volunteer of the month is Kathy, who I know is here today. And Kathy has been with the organization for either nearly or over 10 years now. She is an excellent volunteer who's been primarily a part of our communication action team, focusing on making sure that we are getting the word out about what we are doing. Because, you know, we can do all of these cool things. We can, you know, make really neat art and we can have petitions, but if we're not getting them out to people, if people aren't seeing it and interacting, then our actual ability to reach people is limited. So Kathy has basically created our current website, or was a huge part of it, and also did a lot with our social media for nearly 10 years. And she also is just a delight to work with. So balanced and calm and just a soothing presence. So friendly and knowledgeable, just a great, great volunteer that we all adore. So thank you so much, Kathy, for everything that you have done and everything you continue to do. We really, really appreciate you. So thank you so much, Kathy.
So congratulations, Kathy. And if you'd like to learn more about, we have monthly meeting teams, and monthly meetings are coming up. Our next monthly meeting is going to be at our annual potluck. So our apologies to the people that are not in the Madison area, although you're welcome to come down. It will be at Brittingham Park, and note that it will be starting at 6 rather than at 7. And please bring your own plates and silverware. We will have a few extra, but we don't want to have to use a lot of paper plates and things. So bring what you can. And it should be fun, and encourage your friends to come as well. Any friends that have been interested in climate work, this is a really great time to encourage them to come, because it'll be just a friendly event. And Nikki's going to tell us a little bit more about other things that are going to happen that night.
Yeah, so not only is this our annual potluck, we've also taken this time to add an additional element, which is creating a volunteer fair surrounding our picnic. So a lot of the things that we're going to be featuring are going to be opportunities from within each of the teams, but also opportunities within our sister organization, 350 Wisconsin Action. And I'm hoping that a lot of the things that you're going to see at the volunteer fair are going to have some sort of creative element to them. So being able to learn more about them in a fun and interesting way that isn't just a bunch of clipboards on some tables. So you'll all be able to, you know, meet new people. And if you're a longtime volunteer or a member of our organization, we'd love to see you there. And also bring friends, people who maybe don't know us. Or if you are brand new, you know, we'd love to see you there as well. So we want as many people to come as possible, and we can enjoy the picnic and volunteer fair combination.
And the reminder to the teams that if you do want to have a volunteer action there of some sort, get in touch with Nikki and let her know what's going on. After that, for September, we are now have verified that we will be having our sister organization, 350 Wisconsin Action, will be providing message training for the upcoming elections. And so that should be really interesting, and you'll get to learn a lot more about 350 Wisconsin Action as well. Okay, now we're going to briefly run through and show you when you can join some of these team meetings and who the contact people are. We're not going to go through each one of them, but I think we missed a slide there. Yeah, there we go. The one that was before, the one with the 4 teams on it. There we go. Yeah, so we have tar sands, climate justice, regenerative land relations, community action, communication action, and then fundraising, the CCST or local actions, state policy, the Arts Collective, and the monthly meeting team. So if you're interested in any of those teams, please contact the person involved there. And if you don't get it down quickly enough, they're almost all on the website as well. So with that, I'm going to pass it back to Christina.
Yeah, thanks, Kelly. And thanks everyone for your patience. We ran a little over tonight because we had a lot of announcements and there was so much great stuff in the Art Collective's presentation. So Marian, I'll ask you you can stop the recording, I think. And I believe breakout rooms are open. So if you're like, that was enough,